I would just, a lot of people here that might need to or want to speak, that if you are speaking, please make note of the podium to my right, some of you all's left. And so if you do need to speak or give a comment or ask a question, please do try to come to the podium so that we can get you on the mic and you can be heard for our media. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and jump into our discussion on the negative impacts that additional bars and taverns. I'm so sorry. I'm so anxious to get to this. Thank you. Minutes are approved. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now at this time, we will go to our new business and we will get to the discussion on the negative impacts that bars and taverns and gastropubs would place on public safety. So I'm going to start with Chief Blankley, Ashley Christ, Scott Holmes. Okay.
I think Scott's gonna take the lead.
Yes, ma'am. I will. I'll jump in first, and I'll let the technical experts kind of back me up from once we get going. Last week, as you recall, based upon a discussion that happened, I believe in pre-council, but I could be off. Council asked me to look into drafting a temporary suspension of the issuance of any more bar licenses. We were going to do this on, I think y'all told me I had till June 27th, and at some point in the afternoon, we kind of moved that date up. But you have in front of you what we have tentatively drafted. What we have done is based upon the public safety issues that Chief, I think, has been pretty crystal clear over the last several months about our inability to get up to the police numbers that we need, the proliferation of alcohol establishments, and the public safety issues that we have seen grown, particularly from citizens outside of Tuscaloosa that come into Tuscaloosa to have fun, and then some of them also cause trouble. We also have some urban development, zoning, planning type of issues that we'd like to look at. What this would do is it would suspend any applications for a conditional use to be a bar tavern or a gastropub. That is in kind of an intentional way to look at it. A couple years ago, council adopted a policy that any bar tavern, any lounge license, any gastropub that was going to be allowed in the city, not only did they have to come for the proper alcohol license, but they had to come before you as a special condition under zoning to locate where they are. It is my opinion that that is our safest mechanism for a suspension of the issuance of licensing rather than the alcohol license itself, in which we're sort of operate as a branch of the ABC approval process. This, as drafted, would go through the end of 2023. It would only apply to any new applications for conditional use for, again, bar tavern or gastropub. This wouldn't apply to restaurants. It wouldn't apply to restaurants with attached bars, as we discussed earlier. It would also only apply to any future applications. So I know there are a couple applications that have already been on the council agenda and our council agenda tonight. Those would not be covered under the suspension of this activity. Are there any questions based upon what's in front of you and kind of as I have outlined it?
Any questions from members of the committee or any council members, anyone at the table?
I currently have this drafted to go before the full council on the 27th. I know, Ms. Howard, I believe you weren't going to be here for public safety on the 27th. I don't know if the council wants to discuss further at public safety on the 27th, or if we want to have it doubled up, if we want to go forward on the 27th. I have it drafted unless there's, even if there are major changes, I imagine we should be able to make them in that time.
So I know during our last pre-council meeting, Mr. Busby or someone from the council asked for this resolution so that we could look at it and kind of go through it. So how do you know, are there any concerns about us placing it on the agenda as is currently stated?
I'm happy with it being on the agenda myself.
So we said, Scott, this will go to the end of 23.
Yes, sir. This would expire December the 31st of 23. It could be extended, or it could certainly be pulled before that time if there are recommendations or if council decides.
The reason why we
we feel like we would have time to get you something by early fall, allow that debate to take place during the fall, hopefully have adoption before the end of the year, which would coincide with the ending of the moratorium, so.
And it would be able to be extended without council approval.
It couldn't be extended without council approval. It would take 4 votes of the council to either end this early or extend it. With no action from the council, it would sunset at the end of the year.
What if there's a change of ownership?
This should not affect the change of ownership. Now, if there is a change of ownership, the alcohol license would still come before this body.
If that, if it's a new bar owner, it wouldn't affect that either. In an existing bar.
In an
it's
existing
working,
bar
it's
that
operating
wasn't
right
expanding,
now.
that is just simply a change of ownership, no, sir, it shouldn't.
And as I put into my email to you on June 7th, there might be potential ways for entities to work around the moratorium that is in place. And as I mentioned earlier today, the 2 existing applications that you have in front of you should not fall under this. They need to be decided on their own merits.
Okay.
The effective date would either be determined, I know you and I haven't had a chance to speak, would it be, if the council adopted it on June 27th, would it be effective the 28th, or would we have to go through public?
It would be, since this is a resolution, it would be effective upon adoption. And there is, we have learned probably in this city better than anyone else, alcohol establishments and economics can be incredibly creative. But we can be pretty creative ourselves, so we'll certainly have to monitor as things move
Not
through.
the way this is worded, this is not a specific area of town, this is just a blanket, whatever. I mean, I guess the one concern I've got is, to me, I like the fact that we weigh the merits, the location, the issues of every one of these that comes to us. And I think that anybody that is coming to this city looking for a license to do any of this understands they are meeting a very skeptical audience.
Yes, sir.
So I don't, I'm just voicing that concern from my standpoint. If there was a bar that wanted to locate in District 3 other than everybody at the table cheering, I don't know why we would not have that debate or have that conversation about that.
Well, Mr. Crowe, so we have looked at times at doing geographical restrictions. That is usually difficult to do. And in this instance, there would potentially be some avenue for that, but that avenue would be through the typical zoning planning process. And you have to go through planning commission, set those areas on maps. It's a much more cumbersome process and probably 8-week process to make those sorts of changes. But that.
Just again, from our standpoint, TPD needs a deep breath.
Yeah.
And we need an opportunity to get through the fall, which is going to put more on us than any point in TPD's history. Again, I know there's people here regarding the 2 applications that are before the council. This will pertain to the future. But we would really appreciate just a pause, because we understood, and I think Mr. Busby, you brought this point up last week, and I agree with it, is that without the blanket, we get to picking and choosing.
I personally don't want to be in the discretionary business of deciding, yes, this bar,
I
no,
agree
not
with
that
very
bar.
much, and I
Let's,
think if you wanna go to a
that deep
bar in
breath
Tuscaloosa-
description is a good description. Let's pause, get our wits about us and reassess. The people of the city, they're going to feed us what we need to know during that period. I guarantee it. The people in this city are going to let us know whether this is what they want and want more of, or do they want more bars. They will let us know.
And it's pretty easy to find a bar, Mr. Busby.
Huh?
I think it's pretty easy to find a bar in this town. I mean, if you want to go to a bar, as you well know, it's not hard to find one right now.
Well, I'm okay with the resolution as it reads. You gave us the cheat sheet for it. And I do want us to have a blanket. I don't want us to have to, pick and choose. So I'm okay with it. And I do know that we are getting closer and closer to football season, where our police force will be under a lot of stress. I know they're already, feeling it already. So I do want us to do whatever we can to give them a break, but then also preserve and protect our public safety department because we need them. So I'm okay with this going to the council. I don't think I see anything that issues any changes for me.
Well,
So,
I'll have this prepared as it is now for council on the 27th. Obviously, if you see something or hear something before then, send me an email, and obviously there'll be an opportunity to discuss it again at pre-council on the 27th. Does anybody have any additional questions for me?
No, I think it's good too, because the moratorium we approved on mega apartments turned out very well. And, because there was a definite need to pause there. So it's kind of similar to me.
Thank
Okay.
council.
do we need to vote on this? Okay, no vote. So this is just for discussion, as is stated on the agenda. Mayor, as the mayor stated, we do have 2 applicants here for a discussion about their current standing. So, Mr. Holmes, our chief, or Ms. Kreitz.
I know we have some applicants here. I know we addressed it at pre-council. It is on council agenda tonight. It is set for a public hearing tonight. I would certainly caution council that anything said on these applications really should probably be said in that scheduled public hearing more so than in this
Alright.
setting.
So, and I agree with that, always agree with the attorney.
And so we'll still have the public hearing portion of that tonight, right? Even though I thought we had opened it up as a public hearing when it was tabled before, but we'll still have that section.
Yes, sir, and I can defer to our parliamentarian, but typically when the public hearings are tabled, they come back before you as a public hearing again. And there are,
The mayor.
there are 2 public hearings for each applicant. First, you will determine the special condition, the zoning aspect of it, then you determine the alcohol license aspect. The reason we're doing it in that order is if they are not given the special condition under zoning, then it's gonna be very difficult to approve their alcohol license in an area that they're not zoned for now.
Chief, is there anything you would like to say before tonight?
Talking about on the 2 things tonight?
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir. I know on both of them, I've already kind of stated my, the way I feel about both of them. Grandstand, I'll take that one first. You know, we have enough bars down in that area. You're just adding more numbers. If you switch from that restaurant model to a bar model, that can change the whole feel of what they're currently doing. And that's one of my big fears, because at that point, you're not worried about serving food. You're worried about that bar clientele that you're bringing in. That's your number one concern. We don't need any more of that down there. We have got plenty of things down there. As far as the one up 69 South, that's a very calm area. It's a very safe area. I feel like bringing something into that shopping complex, you're going to have problems in the parking lot. I know they're trying to get a restaurant license. A restaurant doesn't run from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. If you want to get a restaurant license, cut it off at 11 o'clock and close your doors, because that's a restaurant. People don't eat unless it's Waffle House or Huddle House after that late. You're coming in trying to be a bar. We've seen this before. We've seen it played out. But what we can't do is keep spreading our force over and over again. So I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you, please do not approve these. If you do, I really feel like in 2 months you're gonna be calling me and saying, hey, what can we do about this? But we're asking you ahead of time. We can't do it anymore. Let's take a break, reevaluate, but I'm afraid it's gonna create problems in an area that we do not have problems. That's gonna take our police out of your neighborhood. I think that's as blunt and as, you know, as easy as I can say it. Please do not approve these. Thank you.
Any comments? Anybody else?
Can I, a comment and kind of segueing off what the chief talked about, let's remember that if we choose to put a moratorium on additional bars, that only addresses a part of the problem. And that's the part would be added to the problem. We already have a problem, as you just heard. And I think going forward, for us, augmented by the staff in terms of their recommendations, et cetera, we will need to be looking at other measures as well in concert with this.
I agree.
And obviously, the one that jumps off the page is opening hours or closing hours, as well as some other things. But I just wanted to keep it fresh that what we're talking about right now is to stop adding to the problem. We still have a problem that we'll have to address going forward. Thanks.
Anyone else have any comments? Mayor, you passed out a worksheet.
Yes, I know one of the things that was requested by the city council was the opening and closing hours of different SEC schools. So
Okay.
what you have before you, and I can have Stacy send it in font, it's a little bit bigger. Even with my glasses on, I'm struggling a little bit, but it gives you an idea of what the different SEC cities do. And it's interesting, from Mississippi to Louisiana, to Texas, to Tennessee, the different types of ways they structure it. This, as Mr. Busby alluded to, this is not necessarily something for us to discuss or even determine today. But I do think it's something very healthy for us to look at and then, discuss it with our team members, especially with TPD. Because one of the issues as Elton has said today, is that when we have a closing time, TPD is being stretched thin. We also have an issue of our officers are being asked to work so many hours. That does 1 hour, does 2 hours, give us an opportunity to get our force replenished. Let me just say this, and this is Walt Maddox, this is not, I don't know if this is Chief's opinion or not, but my experience tells me this. Anytime you're fatigued, your decision-making is not as strong. I worry about police officers, exhausted police officers, after an end of a 12, 14, 16-hour day. It puts their lives at risk. It's not in the public's best interest. That is what we're asking our men and women in Tuscaloosa Police Department to do. And I think we need to mitigate that as much as we can moving forward. And so I think this is a good discussion to have, and for us to take a look and see what we need to do. And we also need to engage with outside stakeholders as well. But I think it's the moratorium, the step y'all taking today gives us some time to do that. And I know the team is appreciative.
Oh, what you just said is true. I mean, the longer you work, the tireder you are, and dealing with people that may have had too much alcohol makes it even worse at 2 o'clock in the morning. I know we're not gonna discuss this at length, but I'm in favor of rolling those hours back. I may be the most conservative person on here for rolling those hours back.
Any more comments? All right. Are there any other comments? If not, is there anything else to come before this committee? All right, so seems that there's nothing else. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.